Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharma Namo Aya Kande Amaje Genje Doigane Raka Shosa Konde Chonze Shye Yabo Ye Lo Sandra Se Da Jeba Ye De She So So De Ye No Nga Se De Be De Che De Lo Ma Ye Be Do Nga Che Tai Lo De Be Se Na Che Jo Do Ye Ba Ye Che Ye Jo Sho So Xie Jie Chuan Gu Jia Wei Luo Zhe Do Ye San Na Wei Jie Yu Li Xie Tai Bei Bei Jie La Mi Zhe Bei Guo Oi de oi te oi be oi de sa ze ye wo che ye na do me oi do da che oi je oi do be na ze oi te oi cha so我上也知知知叫做是那些 Let us take a moment and cultivate the altruistic motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should all participate in this Lamrim teaching on the stages of the path leading to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. Allow me to read about page 2 from this Lamrim text, volume number 2 in the English translation of Lamrim Chemo, page 103, to give you the blessing of oral transmission first, followed by explanation.
Sumbala Suma Kala Lavishi, the Lavanam to the Tamoni, Sevi, Yavata, Yejo, Rick, do you know, Porishima to do Shaju Sim. Laja, the Chindu, Nishan, Lamji, Neta, do Dum Shimbo, Doshi, young Terran duty. Jimba, do Jimba, do Anela, Lava, Segnia, Boni, Chilule, Zamba, Zama, the Duzalando by. Tongjuba ni dambe tongde la xin go ba yin de tong tun ba ni rang ge rang gi jang de jo la du cha dang zha wa zhe ru bi shi ru de so ni dang la wa su mo lo so chang sen so so bi jiang chang sim ji la mo dang jie de du me jiang xin zhu ge huo jie ba de du xie xie jie de de min yue xin zhu le duo xie xie qin zhu lo du yue xie xie wa xie xie wa shuo yin ni ba le ni ngo bo ngui jie dong ye ba zhong zhang ye ba da xia lo ke de den ba bu to mo ni zhong de de jie xie zhu ge do men zhong zhe wa ye zhao dang de 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 zhe bi yu xie你那光把些的那些结巴呢，成一尊的呢，因别的大了一周，别个你呢，现在个娘嘞老单别说的怎么就你不说的了出来，我到了这个张年呢，上学节就把老百姓那做把老这报的没把结果了的了，养老节。啥用了？但真也用做吧，没吧，有做吧的没吧，他自己点着下头怎么有？这叫破气，用没东别点下他们就不做吧些个是。这看到这个落雪了，看见这边被绿的，看到连接的这边或者连接太阳看咋不能？这边送走吧，现在我说听到不是说吧，中间叫你们别见着着忙着忙，这你们都没着我的提讲没说吧，浪多些你那老七吧就，那边没了把这些吧些个的现在呢，你们等学生让个这不差不等周末准备。老巴达拉准备的话是Phuntsok的你，老巴就写着有那我这上边来见这不现在那样云南那边的西北顿着了，写着没那我这啥节这不老龙节吧呢？谁啥的那没别什么都没，我做吧就。真的叫我现在的这种愿望就没当没准备就那么说，就是特别这样庆祝的那边菜的嘞，庆祝过的的孔门联盟的下的就那些东西就把这怎么就这不了，前边儿那么就写着这的那个就温度因了，不送说把他这别温度呢上阶级上那月。这当然要到这些来龙秀的Phuntsok吧，到或者中Phuntsok吧， Mondo da de yumo yin min zhe dang xiao nang de qian jie ma la ba xie zuo de de wei shao ju ji shang zhen ji jie ba la ba shang zhen ye xiao wa ni yin zuo se de rang ge dong de xie ji dong zhe ba wo di ye zhe tong yin zhe ba la de wei zhang ge ni wei de la xie ji dong zhe ba la to ma sang zhen ge pian da gu la de yang xin jian lan de zhe deng jie wei 现在你这这边金巴这样我们就也现在现在这把来不然多吧你现在先不一百这如果第打那这把人出了那把么出了那嘛出了那嘛说把这今年的话今年些那么出了么的大部分出了那了些么样别是把故事 dilen machi bebe sheji be dig soba tomo kikin ti du ni me ne ge wala jara du be sheno chembo rang be to ne shero ge tu number de de wa to ba yin te yang sim number ye wa lo mi u mi sam de je ni za de je se be nya ba sha di be mi ba she de de be de le so le rung to ba go te le lo te le lu je la ba mi je we yin sen du ku du mi ngi zun ju zo go be te ni te da xi gi xi wo de no tong yin bo zhe ba wa qin lu de ge de sim jin dong la wa zhao zo ba dong dong mi nu sui bei xi ne de zhou wai xi ri je bi rang do na ba tam ji ju je de li xing du na ba wa tam ji ba me ba wo 你等出了些什么没办了呢？为了上的这那些都考虑出，现在这那些说送饭的，你说是现在现在劳动的没出落的，但是那么甚至那不然对吧？那讲，这样那什那真的甚至啥不然对吧？那讲，你上的下些人家现在个路做不了，你把你个是先通他把看他们接吧。 当家吧做吧做吧了，对不对？常人行动难把他们接吧吧，做吧做吧了吧，对不对？常人那个多么少人当面的，崩吧是，但是现在看了康贝女没些，但是嘛是，除了女是吧些，去做些不，没就组织这些，上台了的那个组织说也对吧？些的。 노르도 소나 샤라라 데레 바르제 데베 테tum제베 조 시비 시르 시누딩이 데퐁바다 남바르 메제다 남바르 납제스 당 데움바다 남바 메제다 납제스 당 샤베 메제 가시 레바제바티 체르 신지 도네 랑게 도이노 시소 아디에 샤인사 他现在我是现在正在那的，他可是，他有做生活老古时，他的也得他做，他老祖的么子不得了，这样子，你把吃肉，他的你把吃肉留，是他的，可是，小时是别多巴郎的，呢，多巴这个别他没得说的，呢，就叫送过来，这东的一些刚刚弄下呢，像是吃肉留送菜，现在多巴忙那个邻居们在。 저저 시루로 따도는 야고 그랬어.
So Geshe read from middle of page 103 to page 106 to give us the blessing of oral transmission of Lamrim text. So last week we talked about the need to create not only the necessary causes for mind of enlightenment, but we must also create the complete causes for it. And so one of the things we already talked about is this, that once you have taken bodhisattva commitments or the vows, then it is pertinent for us to see that we don't transgress our commitments. And our commitments involve both what we call fundamental commitments or the root transgressions, as well as secondary transgressions. And also we should see that no adverse conditions influence us to break our commitments or to transgress our commitments. And to educate ourselves about Bodhisattva commitments and how to keep our commitments, it is recommended that we should look up in or study what we call the chapter on Bodhisattva vows or commitments. It's called Changsim Chudim Liu. Liu is the chapter on the Bodhisattva commitments.
다 수발로 숨 칸을 라비 시에 들라바남 주주당 들 시달라 라비 림바고 데다 더벌 라야 데다 기장 언제 가르사 디네 줄야 델 마노고 그랬어 마노게 세그마리 유강가 상고 그랬어 진짜 치에로 와시다 다 유상고도 유레레 가르시는 세야 타이데 헤두서 뭐다 기장 그게 뒤야 너무로 지고 그러와 놈데 가데 두거서는 어때서 다 강할라비 시세야 됐다 시디 가를 신루도 해주러와 다 놈데 신루 시시데래 다라와 들라바는 두주스다 벨라베서야 타예르 디시나 신루 냠레나래 근데 만디고 지어요 뭐 스타디 유데 시라와 디지 다 신루 거서서도 근데 다 짐바다 마레고 라브디 레시라와 어때서
So we are in the middle of page 103, volume number 2 of the English Darshan Lumbering text, where you read the caption, subpoint number 3, how to train after taking the vows. And so that is explained under 3 sub-points. Subpoint point number 1 is what precepts are based upon. And number 2, how all the precepts are included in the 6 perfections or 6 parameters. And number 3, the process of learning the perfections. In other words, the explanation given is this, that when we talk about Bodhisattva precepts or the trainings, in a sense, they are kind of, maybe innumerable, And excuse me, why is this making noise here? But all of those trainings or the precepts can be brought within the 6 perfections of Bodhisattva, 6 parameters. So we need to talk about how all the Bodhisattva trainings or the deeds are inclusive within the 6 perfections, and then we need to talk about each of the 6 perfections, starting with the perfection of giving or generosity, all the way to the perfection of wisdom.
다 당번에 세여 타에 장세 력유는 파르시바 조두 저주세베 라와탄제 뇌 신루기 정심지 랑제 네다다 뇌베 domshem보이노스 어디 시다 신루디네 디가라세 신루디나리아 정주세베 라고야 관계 다스 도르나 력샤르 주두나 디나리 라 만디베 정주세베 라야 요마레 세르와 시다 디 domshem보리 스타 가지 랍자 강가 디신루는 로고라 시다 domshem보리 되어와 어디서 온다 도아시당 티야 테르두데 젬바네 둘라라 책년바네 신루레 장데 되자르노 바인신 통제바네 담배 통텔라 신구야 바인라 통테바네 랑기 장 되자던 저 로바인 비셔로스 티레다 tilade ronjimizi parishuru hijimizi doashi ajo mare sheda doashi de shiru nanju do resi wada
No, so.
te ronjim thoni ga ruya da chiba shiru nanju do resi
So in the last section on page 103, what the subpoint 1 reads, what the precepts are based upon, there is a statement, I quote, the 6 perfections are thus the great condensation of all the key points of the Bodhisattva path. As Geshe just explained, that all the Bodhisattva trainings are included within the 6 perfections and paramitas, which is to say that there isn't any Bodhisattva training that is not part of the six perfections. And as we often find it stated in the text, that bodhisattvas are primarily engaged in benefiting others, right, helping others. But at the same time, they're also, growing spiritually from within for themselves as well. And six perfections or the paramitas are explained in a sense to train one's mind for spiritual development or growth. And then there is what we call the 4 points of gathering and maturing sentient beings. I know it doesn't come lovely in English, so translate always struggle with that. It's so beautiful in Tibetan, like Duyang Obishi. I'm like, now I have a whole sentence to run it. Bodhisattvas are dedicated to benefit sentient beings, and one classification is that they do 4 things, right, to benefit sentient beings. And one is, as we called, generosity or giving. It's through giving they are able to, attract others' interest in spirituality. So they can gather the others to get interested in spirituality. And then through a pleasant speech, through delightful speech, through skillful speech, they're able to again help other sentient beings grow spiritually. And then they also inspire and encourage others to engage in the spirituality or spiritual practice. Not only that they encourage others to do that, they must practice what they preach, right? That's important. Otherwise, if you keep on preaching and don't practice, my first footnote, then you know where we get to, so that's called big mouth, I think, my first footnote. So you can't be just big mouth. You really have to be practitioner as well. So another point of benefiting others is you practice what you preach. Yeah? So all those 4 points are also included within, if you will, the 6 perfections.
ene tinde go ne ya chia de nyamba ma se re nyamba wa se amjo ro se ge wa ta amjo ro yang ang ji ji yo go amjo ro ji la de ma shi de ge ba ba ji ga o te je ene thon che wa se de le kar sa de se da thon che ba se de na te la hen go ba yin la thon ji ba se jo ro wa thon ji so so nyam ne kha se ya na ji da se ba de go da ka dum so na 최신기를 다 가지고 싶어도 최신기 내라고 말했어. 최신기를 가르쳐 이게 토가지는 야쇼스인데 고 뭐도 민니 계절이 야정도 드릭도 바디데 드고 말했어. 그때는 이 소소 장수는 뭐가 그게 해는 받아야 돼 동지 와서 그랬어. 다 벨 팔랍사디 세고스 라자도 에노 소소 벨 라바나 시메나 에니 미 이제 지금 말와. 어 집바지에서 에니 Hiena Bala, he do so of Yaman Lenza, or Corsa Derova, Dere, Tontumba Sigda, Kalisheva Nashi, so you let Tontumba, or Dere that Timothy Katavu, she do the Corsa Ruma Chen cases, Miruma around cases. She the Corsa was the showing it as a Chesal bench, you got Yambatan, Yasaga Shigro. That's so the shit that Lord in the Serum Mazuba Mother shit that Miruma de Ran cases. What just these days ago.
So we're still on page 103, the last section, and Geshe is explaining a little bit more what we call the 4 points of gathering and maturing sentient beings. And the first point is giving or generosity, which we can easily understand how it is, it's a part of the perfection of giving or generosity, right? We said these 4 points are or can be included within the 6 perfections, or they're related to the 6 perfections. And the second point is, pleasant speech, literally translating it, and bodhisattvas have to be really skillful in their communication skills, to be able to, get others interested in spirituality. And of course, get interested in spirituality means they have to be really pleasant in their, communication engagement with others. The pleasant not in the sense of we think ordinarily, like, we can be very sweet talkers and, we can schmooze with each other. Not that kind necessarily, but it really means is very skillful in leading, others get interested in the meaningful, actions of six perfections. And then, of course, not only that, they, get others interested in the six perfections, but they also really be persuasive in others, to actually take the actions or the steps, to engage in the six perfections. So then the last point is, they really have to set an example for others as well, right? You have to practice what you preach. You just can't preach, and then don't practice yourself. That's why I was giggling over that. There are certain very interesting expressions in Tibetan where somebody might be very good at telling others what they should practice or should not and do, but then when it comes to their own practice, they really don't anything. They don't do anything they tell others to do, right? That is like, what? Maybe my second point is that's called hypocrisy, right? My second footnote. In order to really lead others into the six perfections and get them interested and you really have to set a good example for the others. So that is another important points to benefit others. And Kadamba Geshes are really very strict on these things. They really admonish, if you will, a lot the congregation. Especially those who teach, like just don't be a big mouth. You are just you can talk the talk, but you don't walk the talk. So that doesn't cut it. And Kadamba Geshes can come very hot on the Dharma teachers. They said, as someone who really wants to benefit others, you have to set a good example. You cannot be doing the same thing that others are doing, in a sense, right? You have to be, so to speak, one step ahead, so that others can follow your good example.
This is because in which was the thing, Sony Lava, Sony the Lava song, so we young Shanzi Lava Lamtam. Do merge Chinru Quaja, but the decision did a many be Chinru do he shall choy in was there. Do that any Chinru do go a caress. Lava song and do was Sony and do what I can do, Joshua Saban and do see the Mango Yura. Anything Chinru do go at caress, any decision that the Lana any be lumbering but as you call him over the Ganga and the Lord did the code of Shagmaris. Chindu doing here, any code the long quad, usually a quad get there, teacher and Chindu now didn't hear.
Then at the bottom of page 103, sort of a critique as if raises this point. Why is stated here that all the trainings of bodhisattvas are inclusive within the six perfections. We could also say that these bodhisattva trainings are included within the three higher trainings. Or they are included within the two types of collections. Why six perfections? Is that? So the response to that point is in terms of order of presentation and easy follow-up. For that reason, sixth perfection is used here to say that all the trainings of bodhisattvas are included within the six perfections, which is, relatively speaking, easier to follow.
Ngui to Changye Batang Karsa, Ngui to Changye Bata, Shala Koringe Batambas, that is Shinux, which Parusiba Troxy, Nada, and the DJ did a maverick go Togi Changye Derawa, but the Togi Changye, any Changye by say, any Shala Korim Siduna, that Jimbang and Hidden Banshi was said that Koringe about the Shal shaking, stuck 做着的，那长夜的修送因什么？
Nice. Now we are on page 104 on the top. We are dealing with the second subpoint, which is called how all the precepts are included in the six perfections, precepts of bodhisattvas, that is. And so that is talked about under two subpoints. The first one is, the significance of number 6, right? We talked about why there are 6 perfections. Why can't there be 4 or 5? Why can't there be 7 or 8? What is the big deal about the number 6? Right? What is fixed? Well, there is a reason. So we talk about that. And then the second subpoint is called ancillary discussion, meaning that the order of the 6 perfections is also important because it starts with the perfection of generosity or giving, right? And that particular order is also important to take into account.
네, 다 당고대 가서 좀 된데 친구고 dom선 제발라 예서 담배 대다제비 규전지 네 남은 나 공부 시신 제니 예시께 바니 장이준된 거사 장이준된 놈 이베 대달라 이 쪽에 예바 니는 친구기 냠내라 담배 쇼든 좀 주의시 예바 샤오스 디레다 선지기 다들에 희보송 어마라바 바로 집에 되게 맹정송으로 뭐 지금 얘는 고름다 디럽당시들에 예바 요마라바 제가 디제다 디메다 디지두 상공기 얘는 디곰바테니 얘는 치루나 주든 디테레 시드 상공 디테는 디 신루나 베 예지 라바 탐지바 얘는 치루나 뒤는 냠즈 린주디 약보 셰베이나 얘는 이 조바 비게다 타바 돈이 이초가 되죠. 그래서 뒤에다 인지문제는 예반이요.现在 이 당에 들어야고 거기 상호돈 수술을 해보시고 그래서
So what is stated there on page 104, subpoint number 1 under is this, that of course the original teaching on Bodhisattva trainings was given by Shakyamuni Buddha, right, the founding teacher. But the Buddha did talk about 6 perfections, but he really did not necessarily put into a particular order of presentations, right? And maybe he did not really explain it too much in details. And this is where the Maitreya, comes into play, Chamba in Tibetan. So Maitreya, in his treatises or the works, they elaborated as if on the Buddha's teaching on the perfections or the trainings. And so if we study what Maitreya has talked about, then we'll come to the understanding that all the trainings of bodhisattvas are inclusive within the 6 perfections. We don't need more than 6. We can't do less than 6. 6 is if you call it the magic number here, so we should develop that sense of certainty that all the trainings of bodhisattvas can be packaged within. I know I shouldn't talk like that. That sounds too marketing, but it can be included within the 6 parameters.
다다지도 시징이 배동원도 된 외에도 원도 인해라바디 다다디 신루그 장이 시야데 데레도 너데 인해샤. 어디래?
Of course, Maitreya has done a number of amazing treatises or shastras or tenju, and of course there is what we call ornament for clear realizations or abhisamaya alankara, right? And so what is that particular work implicitly talks about the different stages of realizations. We call clear realizations. But where do we find more explanation of the bodhisattva trainings in Maitreya's work? If you say it is the ornament of Mahayana Sutras, right? Sutra Alamkara or Dodechan in Tibetan. This is where Maitreya explains in detail the 6 perfections.
정이 이제발랍시와나 조바라 체럽바도 메바 유가라 데려 람지 사주용아 네생용 조바 메바 다다 땐들자와 차례에서 예 르브정 보 르브정 보제용 메동 보지에 메데베 때 차탐제니 부송소바시 고에서 대야 강라 집에 롱주당 강그 집에 류당 강의黑记的这边做，那连一小강咱们那，这边是不是说把现在个说，我这里但就是俺这边上街的时候，上街是菜地上街头嘛，是吧？说的，菜上街完了，叫我们就个是，叫我们就完了，叫我们里啊，那店主店就是上面店养过什么都那，大家是店台下这是。长了嘛，咱那那啥就先不用我嘛的是，现在店铺中做不过的是，在帝国的地用了，他进入路过，看见啥？地铺中做不用了，对的，是吧？他这里可解决的时候的话，店铺中做过说，这样看了这个龙酒是龙酒过的话，他龙酒过，他看见头发上我的很多些我的过了，可是啥？夸金不是的，所以别人的金要嘛了，我这是，那。可是啥？看龙酒等，看个这个绿灯是，绿灯的可能，按说去这灯的绿灯的别个天气就是个我个人是，天气我个那别个去这个天气这下上上要嘛的是，天气这个考试，是吧？考试说就我个学习都嘛是吧？看就主别那个是跟对超是有个就是是吧？现在考超也不是超过的是。连在康桥那么是这边不是说把现在我说是，我的他第二天呢，那桥啊这个大概是确实多做不下去，我没意思，他是考忙不是路就上不些人呢，确做不应该不要嘛是吧？我觉得这推荐的很长过来是吧？
是。So on page 104 and 105 at the top, you find it stated that why there are 6 perfections, we don't need more than that, we can't do less than that, why the number 6 is so important. As part of this explanation, the first reason that's been given is the subpoint number 1. So we have so many subpoints, okay, we have to keep track of those. Which is called the fixed number of perfections based on higher status. Okay. Higher status in this particular context refers to achieving good rebirths, or we call fortunate rebirths, right? And so, yes, it's true that our ultimate spiritual dream or the goal is to become a Buddha or enlightened being. Okay. But in a sense, that's a very tall claim, right? I want to be Buddha, right? But then, yes, how soon can we be a Buddha? Yes, we want to be Buddha as soon as possible, but realistically speaking and pragmatically speaking, it may not necessarily happen in this lifetime. It may, but it may not for everybody. So then, what is really important and in a sense essential to stay on the tracks, on the path to enlightenment, is we have to achieve fortunate rebirths or good rebirths, right? Included in that is the precious human life, right? We call it fully endowed human life, which is characterized by 8 freedoms and 10 enriching factors, 18 great qualities. Okay? And this life is very rare, very precious, very meaningful, right? But we are lucky we have it now. Okay? So in order for us to be able to make spiritual advancement, right, continuously over many lifetimes, so we have to seek this kind of rebirth over and again, right? If we are not going to be Buddha in this lifetime, well, then the next option is we better have, again, same life in the next rebirth so that we can continue and further our spiritual practice. And to achieve this kind of higher status life, I know in English higher status, but that's, what can I do? Translate this dilemma here. Anyway, don't go there. So in order to achieve a good rebirth, we also need to create the causes for good rebirth, right? And so we want to achieve good rebirth. We want to be beneficial to others. So as a part of that whole plan, right, the grand plan we have here, so we need to engage in the 6 perfections. Okay? And so at the bottom of page 104 and top of page 105, there is the listing of what we call 4 kinds of excellence, right? We call Phuntsok. The first one is for our own practice and to benefit others, really we need resources, right? I mean, without resources, I mean, we just can't really do practice. We can't really help others. So resources are very important. As a part of benefiting others, I mean, one of the things they're talking about is if bodhisattvas have resources, then they're able to use the resources meaningfully to benefit others and to attract their attention and to support their spirituality. So the resources are very important. Okay, we call it what called longje in Tibetan. The second one is called we should have fully endowed body, lu. Yeah? And it's not any kind of a body, but the kind of human body that we have, which has certain qualities. And so if we are born in any other form of life, we may be able to practice, but we may not be able to advance as much as we would like to. So the human life has this tremendous potentiality, and not only potentiality, we could implement it, use it to make the greatest advancement that we would like to. And so this kind of human life or body is so crucial for. Okay? And so then the third thing is that, generally speaking, we need companions on our spiritual path, right, the journey. Well, maybe it's my third footnote. Some people are fine just being alone, right? But many would like to have spiritual companionships with the friends. We call Dharma friends, or in the case of in the monastic life, so there are the Sangha, right? What are the Sangha members to each other? What do they mean to each other? That means they are the best spiritual friends and companions, right, on the path. So we need, Dharma companionships or the friends to be able to support and encourage each other's spirituality. And then the number 4 is that we should make sure that as we engage in our spiritual tasks, that we bring our tasks to completion, right? We don't want to start off and then drop the ball somewhere, right? Or we don't want to start and and then drop it and start. We just want to, right? Succeed in our action, and also particularly make sure that as we engage in Dharma, that our action is Dharma become, right? We could be engaging in so-called Dharma actions. They may not be Dharma, right, in a sense. So it's very important for us to make sure that our Dharma practice is Dharma practice. And so those are the important things. And for all of those resources, or the 4 types of excellence, we need to create the courses, and the 6 perfections include those courses.
네, 대다지 부수서버 좀 이장 유문be 견로 뭐 대양 유무자도 문제보다 대장 미셔베 랑도지 내날 신지말로 번 조징 노베 미릭버 시와시 고데스 데레다다다 비게 소소 땡약부터 에는 롱주여지 거를 부수서디에나 디게 디비게다 에는 데려와 가데 다 놀롱주다 그대들이야 니모 온선이야 이 미게 쇼 동바다 망봉은도 여러 다 밑도진도 그 벤라이드 서르시는 디고 계시 뭐 디레시 땅되는 디고 말이스 니모 온도 망도 고거레스 다 디가 디에 치고 지금 말이 랑도르 니에노서 단다 그 랑도르 오늘 자산 게디기 레 시고야 가레 빵고야 가레 랑도르 맥지야 셔라 고거레서 다 디멘데 거다 주 콜로제데 주 콜로주고요 와 어디 거레스 다 셰디는 닝마다 시잉 주 차바다 아니 튜뭐 준비해서 라바다 다 푼조 디니 라반 주 셔로서 와다 셰드는 데스워다 난데 티죠 시싱스디 비길라서 그래서 말이야 간에다 디부도 다다지 위에 되어 조서나 인디네 자동시니 따야 메브레스 와라 다다 간저 가라서나 체로 뭐부 이니 비게 점슬랭거 이제 체르는 체로 야성도 그러와 다다 디게 마선 단대때도 예어데 페시했다지 시자는데 샤샤지 와라
So we're on top of page 105, continuing with the explanation of the 4 kinds of excellence that we talked about: resources, human body, companions, and completing the tasks or the work, if you will. Now, even if we have all of these things, let's say we are very fortunate to have all these 4 kinds of excellence, but there is no guarantee that these will enable us to engage in spirituality and to further our spirituality. Because many people might have this, but then they use this for ulterior motives, some other things, right? And so we want to make sure as spiritual aspirants that we don't misuse these resources or these excellences to generate more delusions, afflict emotions in our mind, or to engage in negativities or negative karmic actions, because that would be very unbecoming on our part. And probably not that we want to point our finger at other people, right? But there are plenty of examples in our society that life seems to be really great for them. All these things are going. They got a lot of money in the bank, resources. Maybe their health is just tremendous, amazing. They have great friends and all of the above. But then all of these things are not helping them to transform from within spiritually, right? They just get sucked into, the samsara more. And so we don't want to go there. The bottom line is, if we have these kinds of excellence, then we should make sure that we also need the wisdom or the intelligence to be able to differentiate between right and wrong, positive and negative, and all of those things, and so that we will do the right thing. We will do the positive things. And in Tibetan, it's a very a simple word. We call it langthor. Lang means to acquire, to accumulate, to adopt. Thor means to get rid of, to abandon, right? And so our practice consists of only two things, right? Don't do the things we shouldn't be doing, or abandon the negativities and the wrong things, and adopt the right actions, or do the positive things, right? So if we have these excellences, then we should use them meaningfully and engage in the practice of abandonment and cultivation. And also make sure that not only we have resources in this lifetime, but we are able to have resources in future lives, because we have to kind of continue, right, our practice over many lifetimes. Otherwise, if we use all our resources in this lifetime, then it is just like example given here, a plantain tree that gives fruit and then it dies. I think plantain tree, the Chushing Tibetan call is the banana tree, right? It gives you a banana and then that tree is no good, right? Grow another tree. So we don't want to use all our resources and all the good things in this life, and then we don't have anything left, for the next lives.
No, that share of you know, somebody in Jibu, she the lion, and Betty, and she bet the dollar. Share of Mananga, Jibu Longchi when you say, suddenly maybe Shima doing go to Bajoro, so they share the longer share of the old machine. She, and that sort of that 20 years of Kazi, you go into machine. This year the Tanagia drove any Tadaji was in Sarangame drove. That's a small bandra to sort of a langa to say shade. Any Shijamo Lavina. It is set up there in the big yas. Sambon langa shower, or the Mazan that engaged yet, or said the doors in the less of Chimang and so that.
So what is also, important is to have the intelligence or the wisdom, right, to guide our lives properly, on the spiritual path. So if we have that intelligence or the wisdom, then it helps us to be able to appreciate all the goodness in our life, all the resources, all the good things. Not only we do appreciate what is good in our life now, but then we also realize that all these good things are the results of good causes, isn't it? The positive causes. If that is what we believe in it true, then we also would like to create more positive causes for the future, that including the future lives, right? We don't want to use up every goodness here and then, bankrupt over the next, the next life. And if we get bankrupted that way, well, then the future is going to be bleak, right? The only possibility we see is we are going to be in a bad migrations and in unfortunate state of rebirth. That's a total bankruptcy, right? We don't want to go there. We can prevent it. So we should appreciate the goodness in our life. We should, take inspiration from that and do more good, right? So that we'll stock up our goodness and resources, and we will be better and better, over the time and future lives.
这真的计划性的轻重中啊，有没的没的没给了民众是日子准备有用轻重的也别是在你就是在你是在轻重的点，我们来忙都写的，有了这种开学吧，这种的日本前半能用一些咯，是现在这个说的，那他的计划的这是我这个计划性的。你挺重要了是，你清楚的要不别个弄就这个用重要了，你谈到第九谈到拉过来是，第九天没拉过嘛的，没地方就拉到这个嘛的吧是，就看到拉过是天没就得清楚别个样子呢，他讲那也是我打的话，但这里呀，你谈到现在来清楚的康苏帮助让他都写的别恐怕写不赢呢，你原来写成开学吧，你兄弟看在教育呢，你这边的学习的写个样子。你起码看这有没有咱学家嘛，就不太拉来个，啥的这个嘛，我就是说的。
So in the middle of page 105, it is stated that the results or the outcomes follow the concordant causes and conditions, isn't it? Things do not arise from disagreeable causes and conditions. They could only come from agreeable, causes and conditions. We call it gyuthumba. And so therefore, if we want to have goodness in this life and in the future, and the agreeable causes for all the goodness is to practice the six perfections. Okay? And so the more efforts we put into practicing the six perfections here and now, because of the familiarity and the positive habit that we create and we develop, by the strength of that habit, things could be brighter in the future. We might be able to continue and do even better practice in future lives. If we do not familiarize ourselves with the perfections now, right, don't develop the good habit and strengthen that habit, then the chances for us to be able to follow up with the six perfections in the future life is minimal. Okay? Because the outcomes of the results, they necessarily follow, right, their causes. And it depends upon the strength of the causes that we are creating. So if we create a good strength of the causes now and enhance it, then the future is likely to be, better.
tarvaganga dendro de jidang sen ga dendro jukso ro wa tanda de ngam ne go ngom do lami ko ngom do tiro wa o de ta jidang be ngom bo twa sen en sangji sa ya ro res ro wa o de je ta de da yang ta di ta ngom do te se de ngom do ngam do mili ju go re mi do wa ngom do be lami to an tarva tham je ba to dine yang yeli do ganga nyam do ro ya imda o de je ta di kong de do de jing de re ta yang do de jing le se lungju lubin soba dang se ta lungju de lubin soba she kor zum puzun soba karsa lungju puzun soba dang kor zum puzun soba ngondo dang do jim da sik de ga ne ne si de wo jim da ga ji de da ga ji lungju kor puzun soba dis yue na la da de ni mo 아니 민도 당시에 단 코르푸스는 아니 니모온데 도시요 머리 랑도르hen be 차랍야 야드야 아니 유사와 사바도고 다다 예부터 그게 페미도선 디그마르 샤디와 저는 신제 말로 봐서 저는 랑도르디 되니 신제 말로 해니 아니 친구 유치말이야 아니 친구 녀블이야 용을 단다콘 도고 그랬어 신제 말로 도고 그랬어 다다 이거 랑디 다 당기 막 해바디 람리시모 코나 당기 도사라와 어디래 해서 대답을 상승이 제발로 상승이 샤와니 인소 세대랑 통당 회의 통주고 다다데 예마드 정해지 단다리 다 원도도 라든 정해서야지 다 니바데 랑신이 통주베 찬 에네 치루게 그랬어 그죠 소소하게 상의고 부터 해야 현상예상 그거는 간이 돈이 들베 찬이 에네 치루게 그랬어야 된다 Karsa da kalasana. Teta ten teta bi shangsen jeva lavana. Shangsen shawani niso ngede rangasona. Any he ton dubaos. There was a social can lega to Karchiverson.
No.
So Sanjay that here Sanjay I got in door.
No.
What did you hear?
So on page 105, so it is stated that we should realize the significance of having the 4 kinds of excellence: resource, body, companions, and undertakings. And so in this very life, we should start practicing the 6 perfections. These 6 perfections are so important for us to fulfill our aspirations here and hereafter. We must not postpone, right, our practice as if we are going to do it tomorrow or next life, especially, right? That's kind of a risky postponement there. So better start now, to practice the 6 perfections and develop a very, strong habit with the 6 perfection practice. So we have, as you can say, towards the bottom of page 105, there is a quote from Ornament for Mahayana Sutra, right, that Maitri's work, which kind of summarizes what we just talked about. And the high status here, the translation of the Tibetan word Ngön-tho, literal translation, usually we understand it to mean good rebirth. That's what I translated before. But as Geshe explained it, it also includes liberation and enlightenment. Sometimes the high status can be used as an umbrella term that includes not only the good rebirths, but also liberation or nirvana, and also the enlightenment. So in this particular case, it includes all of the above, that we cultivate the 6 perfections for good rebirth, for liberation, and for enlightenment. Okay? And so that's important. And then as it's stated, that if we have the 4 types of excellence, make sure that we don't misuse them to experience or generate more delusions, afflict emotions, that we don't use them wrongly. We should invest them in spiritual growth and development. So then the next subpoint is called the number 6. 6 perfections is fixed based upon fulfillment of the 2 aims of bodhisattvas, right? Bodhisattvas who are so dedicated for the well-being of others, they are the ones who have what we call genuine bodhicitta in their mind, the mind of enlightenment, right? Because that is their mind, their heart, if you will. So once you have that heart, you have cultivated that heart, then you have only 2 things to do. That's all your business. You have no other business to do. The 2 business is that you are geared towards fulfilling your goal or the aim, right? And then you're geared towards helping others to fulfill their aim, right? So bodhisattvas have 2 tasks: fulfill their goal, help others fulfill their goal. That's all 2 things they can do. So based upon that also, we can say that 6 perfections, are not more and not less, right? We need the 6 perfections to fulfill that goal.
Teji Tony Jubalan, David Changin, tell a shame, Tom Juba, Thomas Hansengi, Penda Guala, they are Simjin and Nizet Tangsheva. Simjin and Nizet Jebe Jebe Jimbe, the Jian Minjue, and Shenu shed the Jevale, Liquor Dombani, Shen Shimbo Yimbe, say, Chudum goes. Or did I don't you don't do what they better say? Here you are Tambo del die any Jimba go, Rokoa Jimba said, Koa Jinsia Delia, any Jimba was Pento Marisi or that. Tinyam Dulia, Shen, news upon big cut job of the Shen, never music go. Never enough, Kayak Tindera like that, Pento Mambo, she cut up with the she attached to take it that one. Mandota, you can say, I don't know, didn't never said it. Koya Gavuga, the other acting any Shen Nizim go. 다 되는 메시는 메모고 디시는 다 고진바디야 고용 거라.
No.
어디 뭐 이제 애들 진바데 시리에 대장들이야 소금소를 뭐 다니는 것도 뭐라 어디서 다가지.
So on the back, page 106 on the top. So now we're elaborating on how the 6 perfections are relevant to fulfill one's own goal and also to benefit others. So in terms of benefiting others, which is the bodhisattva's main job or the profession. So one, first is if they have plentiful resources, then they use the material resources to fulfill the needs of the others, right? And then they can, get them interested in doing the positive thing and doing spirituality. And so material resources are very useful. If if people lack of resources, you can tell them to do a lot of things, but they can't. That is a practical concern. So if you have resources to fulfill their needs, then you can help them do practice. Right? That's very helpful. But it's not enough just to have resources. But we must also, be very pleasant and skillful in dealing with others. So because that is also part of not harming them, right? Because some people, tend to be very generous and kind in a sense, right? When you need it, they're ready to help. But then they also, really don't wash their mouth, much. They're like, yaggedy, remember what I did to you? And there's just like sense of doing favor. And sometimes you get so tired of that, like, yeah, I need your help, but really I don't. Because you are going to talk more about that than you are helping me, right? So, that's kind of, again, to push the people away, right? Yeah, I need your help, but then you are going to be yaggedy here again. I don't want that. Who need a yaggedy person in life? And so, people who are not only generous and help you, but they're also very pleasant and they respect you and they appreciate what you have, right? Then that's the people we want to hang out more, in the sense. Well, it didn't say hang out in the textbook. I just put it there. So that requires some sense of restraint. That's a part of morality, ethics, right? You're going to be generous, but you're going to restrain your big mouth too, right? My other footnote, yeah.
어디 다 가서 처럼 여보용 대차신 발라 술뇌바 술뇌 마주 bar 찔린데 찔린 셴나 처럼 다보 명비에서 아니 술뇌라 신문이비 쇠바고서 다디 간제 치루 나마나마 심을 라레비 시기도 왔다 처럼 여보용 발라 처럼 여보용 발라 다디고 거라 현노게 반 네바 현노바 버고 네바 메다 Heng solo the controls and so the chick does the pani, chick, chick, la pani, la, and not share your driver. She did better what is what is certain of a good race.
So if you look at the 6 perfections, actually the subsequent perfections are really needed to enhance the preceding perfections, right? And to be able to really enhance your practice of generosity, you also need the practice of ethics, so that you are very ethical in dealing with others, so that you don't say the weirdest things, right? You hurt others' feelings. You are kind, but you're also hurting, right? That kind of kindness is a little off. So that's important. And then, to be able to enhance our practice of ethics, we also need the practice of patience, When you're really benefiting, helping others, we can't expect others to be nice and appreciate our kindness. Sometimes they give you more headaches, right? They can tell you, they can give you all kinds of feedback and comments and, all that. And so that can upset you, right? You can lose your coolness easily. But if you lose your coolness again, then it diminishes our abilities to be able to benefit others. So patience is a way to go. Tolerance is very important, right? Even if others, say the weirdest and unkind thing, just take it, for one. And so that's why we talk about the patience, of not retaliating against those, who are unkind to you.
어디 가서 네 레마지비 현지 데서버 토마케게 디 뒤에 겨울라 자도 예베스 현도 셴보스 어디 다 현다 소설베 트렌드 다 책도 저 가제시나 디게 레마도 쇠바이나 in the puzzle body, co control the loves and hidden shown Rova, young Joe control Sagmaro, Yama control the apa la Dogora. Says the good Julie, young Joe control Maja, the what Mambo's guard over this. Because that Palama is on the power to do Jackie Land and Lenta Mother Yamugation, and the code Rangi Semzi, Rangi Shigura. This is don't call Gabo Chagres, two Gabo Chagres. Gabo Chas, in that church in a Shin Tonshia, cook up to the Shinra, or did I get water?
So if we cultivate patience, right? Yeah, we are trying to help others, and not everybody is going to be nice to us, even if we are kind to them, right? So they can give us hard time and headaches, but we can still take it, with smiley faces and peaceful mind. So what that really does is that itself is a tremendous example for them, isn't it? If we don't lose our temper, it's not going to exacerbate their situation, right? They're already upset for whatever the reason, right? And so that will help them to ease their mind a little bit, right? If we take it, quite frequently, then they are also intelligent human beings. They will realize, I really haven't been behaving properly, and now they started to appreciate your quality, patience. And so once they like you, right, there's the connection, right? Click, click, click. Now we are connected. And so then we might be able to share our thoughts with them. We might be able to get them interested in spirituality. Right? So we have to create that environment, supportive, and as well as set a good example for the others. So with that, we'll stop there today, and we welcome your questions and observations. And let me write down this page number so that I don't lose it. Page 106.
Resources, are we only talking about financial resources or other kind of resources as well?
Yeah. Tanda deriya ke longzhe se chero ba. Longzhe se di karso gore penjo go longzhe chugo shago dimen be longzhe damar kar shigo wer besu.
Tanda pijir da di doeng go shil longzhe se pijir hindu sha shage der pijir penjo
Something ba. In this particular context, the resources are primarily or more or less the material resources. So that includes financial things. Yeah.
Intelligence is not exactly the resource needed here.
So tagi di ko la ro ba share up for say di tanda di gi karso go long jen al ji yo mar ba so da.
Mare share up the law zu do share up the zu longzhe zu gong ga yuan share up the pen to ma la do.
When we talk about the 4 kinds of excellence or 4 types, right? The wisdom is not part of that, right? Wisdom is the additional thing. We said, we could have resources, but if we are not intelligent and have wisdom, then we might misuse them. So it's just the extra. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
So the bodhisattvas perform all actions with the intention of bodhicitta. Now, since they dedicate the merit from their actions towards attaining the 2 bodies, doesn't that? How could that be that that merit could ripen also in samsaric things like resources and?
Okay, sure. Quran this again. Da ka so chanju samba ki da ka so gore parjin chu ina da zaba de ga kanga da chanju sim ki kulong gi roba ge queen lang jo roba sken te quran za mang che da shin den nang ji da da rang den yor de shin den nang de go roba ge ji de kang ya chanju sim ki queen la bu ge da shin den che de de gi da sonam sa sha bu de gi da ko san ku ni thop go roba so roba ge ku thop go roba ge 세자 안 딘데 지기다 코레나리아 안에 단데 춘제디 간데 차고 뭐네 저는 공고와 지류 간으로 하게 상계 토베 지도 고로 와 이네 개완 디기 데부들에 코레나레 다 갈서 오르다네 롱조 용워 비순 소보 용에 간데 차데 그래서 그 데부 간데 스미 그래서 뭐와 딘데 제요 말아서 오래
됐어 세자 등기 되는 조사서 비데 세자 상계 공부해야 돼 저와 지인 톱도 뭐 저와 뭐 유고 그랬지 저와 뭐 유고도 코야는 코야라 봐 코야는 코야 단단다 레 당보 온데 좀 세다 소저 바바지야 요 말아 세다 그건 거기도 유여부지면은 세다 단 된도지야 그때 야부터야 돼 룽지어데 디 차진 강가 다다고 뭐잖아 근데 처음으로는 이제 심마 된도지고 말아 룽지면은 코드 두고 말아 다 코드 잡으면 코드 자이네 펜도 말아 어째 디레선데 되게래서 다 가르사 다다 레 당보에 냠선인다 다 샤서 파파데 말에
No, so. 말 컨트리버시 디삼자게 뭐디 전주 도에서 먹어요, 여러분께.
어레레.
이네 개와디 드부들야 양 코르웨기 다와지 드부인 거로 코네데로 봐. 네 컨디션 거는
데스 거다 그리고 거레스 뭐 이제 친구로야 되다 코아 잠기 시인데 저거 말다 지금 그럼 친구로가 코아 그게 다 성이야데 맞아샤 성랑상 예토고 말아
나래.
저긴 지역으로 예거 내 상국으로 왔어
나래.
어시다
된 상벌을 먹고 있어.
좀 타와라 디고 그래서
Yeah, I just want to make sure that Geshe understood the particular question. Geshe says that yes, it's true that bodhisattvas, they are dedicated for the well-being of others, and their activities or the deeds are motivated by bodhicitta, or is undergirded by bodhicitta, and they usually dedicate their merit to achieve enlightenment for others. But at the same time, I think in their dedication, they include that not all bodhisattvas, especially the ordinary bodhisattvas, right? They know in this very lifetime they're not likely to be Buddha. So they know that they might have to reborn, right? Unless you are Arya bodhisattvas, it's a different case story. But if you're ordinary bodhisattvas, you realize that you need to take good rebirth, right, in the future. So they also part of their dedication dedicate that I want to achieve enlightenment for the sake of others, right? If I couldn't achieve it this life, so may I be able to achieve over successive lifetimes. So as part of that dedication, so comes the resources and the body and others, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, Jim, yeah. Sorry, something I left out. Let's say, for example, when we talk about the perfection of ethics, right, Shila Paramita, yeah, it is primarily geared towards enlightenment, but if you abide by the Shila, if you don't become enlightened in this life, as a power, you will have a good rebirth in the next life, right? That's the primary cause for. And then when you practice generosity, perfection of that, well, if you achieve enlightenment, that's another thing, but if you don't, then the generosity leads to resources, right? That's how, it's connected. Yeah, Jim.
It's a little off topic, but so it seems to me that we're constantly in a pretty powerful river of moment-to-moment conceptualization, which is delusional. It's misapprehension. So we're already in this strong flow of misapprehension. On the individual liberation path, there's the idea that at a certain point you become a stream enterer. So what's the difference? We're already in this stream of delusion. What is this stream that a stream enterer enters into?
Okay, yeah. Koran kan di shwe di chukur gen ta tanda kan je 먼저 다 냠len che kwa de chuna che de ya ta tabain tamje hib towa ro ba gen 어전 kiao mo shi kyu go ro ba ina ngazo 냠len che de gen di 강에 동네 체저 갈 수도 가는 간데 더 세미나서 남도기 더 루구 규되어 봐 게. 남도 망신데다 가서 마시 몽바다 아니 가서 록도다 되네서다 봐 게. 지도 강리야 아니 답변한 거 탐색해 봐 동네를 차샤위나 봐 게. 그 동네 최고 녀도 잡을 수 있을 동안. 제가 단답변나 탈바 동네를 진배이나 딱 왜디 삼대기도 봐 게. 변나 균슈 서근데요 봐 게. 제 진배는 안다 때 스탬브를 책을 사죠 봐 게. 제가 다디 아무튼 단다 녀몽기 균슈 서서는 때대로 녀몽 칸으로 봐. 제가 아니 탐색해 봐 누구는 때들 동네 가르쳐 그것을 봐게 센서를 가르치면 있습니다.
아니. 간제세
센서를 비슷한 묘몽 로그 주대로 봐게. 다 냠내 제고로 봐. 얘네 다 베나 균슈버를 지면 얘나 그 센서를 쓰면 돼요. 봐게. 다 먼저 전주 좀 개럽지나 센서를 쓰려고 봐게 가르쳤습니다.
다 간제 센서 마시가 어디서
마시가 원하잖아. 센서를 쓰죠.
네. 센서 마시가 어디서나 다 오늘 장산적 시서 다 되고 다 최리해다 나이시나 레진을 이제 하고 봐. 레진을 이제 하고 있는 애네들 잠도도 강가시고 용하죠. 저 뜻이는 레 이제는 애네 겨와도야다 미가 봉야데 그런 롱시고 용게 레진을 이제면은 다 가지고 가제 인생은 다고 여대 열에서 요 말도 사고 말아야지. 신의 거 다가서 또 계속 못 맞으시 르르야 또 르르라. 그래.
Geshe feels that, it's true that, our, mind is, caught up in all kinds of conceptual thoughts, and a lot of them are, you're right, mistaken thoughts and confusion, all of those things. So amidst all of that, right, how do we, practice and stay on the path to enlightenment? In the case of, as you said, the example given is though somebody who is in the stream enterer, so they have kind of found a stabilized place, right? They're not going to furthermore. So for us seeking enlightenment, he thinks where it really starts for us at our level is we have to cultivate this firm belief in the infallibility of law of karma and its results. And that's where we are stuck, right? We kind of believe in it, but our belief is not really a firm belief. So that's why we take it easy, like, I shouldn't be doing this or what, but it's okay. Or sort of we slide it through, right, our actions. That shows that we really don't have the as firm belief as we should cultivate in the infallibility of law of cause effect. But once we have that affirmation, confidence, then things become very natural, right? We really automatically find ourselves doing less negativities and doing more positive actions. This is how progress happens.
Asking about the term stream enterer. What does that mean? What is the stream that you're?
Gyenshu said that Gyenshu said.
윤도 쇼과서는 유유서는 다들 거사 거러단다 흉리 예사 지금 남자 지워라 봐. 되게 다 되는 다 마슈르들이다. 유유서는. 유유 얼 드불 당고들다 다 예마야 흉리 예사야 되다 특별시주 강갈리 용자로 팅면다 용자 흉내 예사야 된다고 거라.
팅면다 택진이가 여러분.
다 특제 개는 거.
택진을 흉내 예시가 뭐 팅면.
특제 나온 게 다 들어야 가지 흉내 예 되게 되면서 시다 슈바다 리부티어 되다. 그때 흉내 예라 남자들게 특제려 말에. 어디 유주스는 다 데려다 거기서 흉내 예사야 되는 마슈도 다 유주스 걸 명제다.
다 이제 돈다도 그 셈은 내서 가발레스.
이제 다 팔은 그런 지도야 안부 뛰어버려서 이나 팔은 톱니다. 통보군에서 빵상게 데려질 수가 없다. 너왜 니무 현다 봐마도세. 통보군에서 지고 빵다 너왜 니무 고여 어디에 나는 마방하시니 근데 통보군에서 지고 빵게 되지다. 롭 지내다. 어디 유주스고.
알레 대주쇼 강가로겐 파과샤다래요. The stream enterer, we call it Gyenshu, right? We talk about the stream abider and stream enterers, like 8 of them. But all of them, to be symbol, are what we call Aryas or transcendental beings. Okay, and the stream enterer is out of the 8. It is the lowest level, so to speak. And what it really means is that you are already sort of a transcendental being. You have not abandoned all the delusions. You have abandoned, right, certain afflictive emotion that's related with the path of seeing, for example. Right? The path of seeing has some fetters or delusions. So those are abandoned, but you still have a lot more delusions to be abandoned. So somebody on that level of the stage is called stream enterer.
So you have realized emptiness at that point.
Yes, somebody who has completely realized the emptiness, right? Yeah. Otherwise, you can't be on the path of seeing or become an Arya, transcendental being. Yeah. Yeah. So good. Yeah. Can you use that for? Yeah. It's on, I think. Maybe. Yeah.
So you can realize emptiness but still have delusions?
동반이 또 사바이네 단도 녀모 요소를 왜서
그래서 이모데 비지다 지당적시는 대유로시는 사 예바파도 여러
나래
다 현다는 런집도로신데 윤다부터 상마지파도 여러 시도 이로 지자방가라
알레노 알치즈미스방 거 말로 나래. Yes, one might realize emptiness as it is, but one, could still have afflicted emotions or delusions. There's need to be, abandoned, gradually. From Prasangika Madhyamika point of view, the highest Buddhist philosophical point of view, like in the context of Mahayana, until you reach the 8th spiritual ground, the 8th Bodhisattva ground, you still have some amount of delusions. When you're on the 8, then you are free of the delusions. But according to Savatandika Madhyamikans, the sub-school, they even claim that delusions exist almost the last moment, before you become Buddha, right? So different systems. Yeah. So it's possible to have a realization emptiness, but delusions still. Yeah. No. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah. On. Switch on. Yeah.
Okay, I will try to translate the question from a new Dharma friend. He said he had attended Vajrasattva initiation from another master in the Vietnamese temple. And his question is, in case he creates negativity, if he doesn't do confession, is that will increase, multiply? And in case he creates positive karma, it's also increase. It will increase double or triple with time.
Okay, so let me see whether I understood the question. So he has taken a Vajrasattva initiation from some other teacher.
Yeah.
So which is meant for purification practice. Now, if he doesn't practice it, does it increase his negativities, double, triple, whatever? Is that the question?
Yeah. No, his question is that the other master explained to him, it's not the practice. He said when one in general, in one create negative karma, bad karma, that karma will multiply with time.
Yes.
So his question is, when he create positive
this
karma,
is the same.
is it also increase, multiply or not?
Sure.
That is his question, based on the laws of
sure. Yeah. Quran can show this word again. Tanda Quran da kigen shamba dende sungju nyin jirwa. Sidu kan liya this songs. Le ngeba chewe ina tat ko mashan sig jirwa gen. Le de ene kasar ni ju dab ju dugur sa jirwa gen. Tivil ten ko ya mang phe dugur eswa. Kesi le ngeba dus phe ge yebe on the time na le sangbu ji chewe ine rwa. Am phe ka de chigbar wesrwa. Sangen ga logi ko leg namsa dodan chigbar wes ko sar.
O chigbar da. Te chigbar men ta be rigba kon ge ro ba.
Na
Ya de ya mi feel don't fear de do. De chigbar chigbar do da.
Right. The law of nature should work same for both, right? If we create a negativity, provided that we don't purify it, it's going to multiply, right? But for the same reason, if we create a positive action, provided it's not destroyed, it should multiply as well. Right? The law of nature should apply the same way. It can't be one and not for the other. Yeah. So could give the mic to, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, somebody wanted. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm new, so I just wanted to ask, you were talking that he was trying to help people. What about when you need to help only people that wants to be helped? Or if you see somebody that, if you think that somebody needs help, you can still help, but what happened with your energy if you don't, it takes a lot of work.
Okay, sure. Mora can share this again. That again, Chanju Sembegi, that door of the Shindun chair, again, Shan Robert Chowers level, and then Robert said, and Shing Robert Chet as a lamne, again. Robert Chet, Chet and Malaba in a Robert became middle of Kugushuna, Robert Chet or rest, again. And mirror Robert Chet in the social knew about the mountain and Dichi, that was Yam to some guys again. Polish with the Bezin show or Robert Chegor, said that this social knew about the young and the soul singer again.
Al Bill Robashina.
Now,
다 소소 정자 그래서 그래.
ma Gyeltsen ma da soso nyuba da ma san ro ge da di milia tebe so sin ro soso nyuba di nyam me du sim ge so ro ge dinde da sam ma ro
알레스 상와. 다 매일 가지 팬도 가지시나 다 벤조르 있는 피지 다 조르고 이미 히제도 얻지 있는데 왜서 가지시나 될 소소 좀 가요 말아.
no re no da da ke ro che se de injem je ro che tan mala be ne che go du na da ko ro che ro da ne yan di shera phe chen ma sin yan da ko da chi ro ge
나.
남주 phe chen ma do ro che go du che chen na ya ko pen ge ma mang go ta go ro da ma
네, 됐다. 됐어야돼. 셔다 다다 로바 셔야돼. 내가 초도서 드레데 말아 다다 디시데 잘. 얘다 바 코아 진스 번저와 좀 셔야 돼.
no
인 저와 진의 코 시주로 가야 되고 내 로바 하고 그러.
no
이제 현대 텔라 바비 내가 시에는 그 돈도 놓쳐요 와.
right
그 딩스요. 다 담보도 코아 진 마셔야 돼. 님바 마셔야 돼. bon줘야 되고 디레 기세로 와.
no so
이 가져야 로바 시나야 그 남도 생각돼 요. 이번 지금 현도도 많어. 소소 사만남다이나
no ma
코리아 그게 암조 먼저 샤야요 와.
no re
어디 도다니에 저와 좀시
so
인티도 그 시기로 농산의 신의 딱그 사람 디레신의 콜페서서 달로 샤그로
no
어디데서
Actually, there's more to even helping and benefiting others. It's not just we have resources and we could help them, right? I mean, in the sense that the way, I mean, it is talked about in this text is we really get to know the person first so that we find out what is his or her need and are we able to help them and are they receptive to the help, right? Not because we see a need in somebody and we just jump to help, right? And sometimes people don't want it, and and we are not being helpful. Actually, they just kind of being repelled by that. So the idea here is if we have resources and we use us as a very skillfully with some thinking, get to know the person or his or her needs, and then see how receptive the person is, right? And so it has a lot more than simply having to give something. Now, in case of material resources, yes, giving others and dedicating, it seems to deplete our own resources. There's that to it. But in terms of cultivating the mind of giving or the patience, these things never, our energies don't deplete. As a matter of fact, by cultivating the heart to give, by cultivating patience and dislike, it grows, it strengthens. We are not going to just be depleted with our own energies. Do we have another question? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, these 6 perfections are practices of bodhisattvas. My understanding is what makes it a perfection is that the person who practices that has a bodhicitta. But what about the people, like most of us, who don't have spontaneous bodhicitta? What is the relevance of these practices?
Okay.
Could they still be called the perfections?
Sure. Tanda deli partin chu sumbor bagen.
어린
Di chanju sembe la jar sungu izan. Ta chanju semba di partin di da chanju semgi kien chene ko paru simba charu gu jor wagen. Ta nganzo dabu di na tanda chanju sem yo mar wagen. Se da nganzo gi ene nyamle che di ene partin chagor chagum partin chagum na karir esa jor wagen. Partin gi ta jugure mar esa jor wagen.
데데 다디 지당저 시대 대도하지 단다디 라우는 시도던 측동대 자려 말아 짐바다 셰럽 거야 뭐 파진 쓰고 말다 그 짐바 셰럽에는 강한 누구 알아 어딜 파진 명된 거로 와 지금은 신의 파진 셔야 되다 다세다 파진 셔 상계 살면서 메시 와라 다티면은 뭐다 라운 뭐다 요 말아 단다 타이라고 셔다 짐바 세좀 되게 되는 거래
알되게 달 퍼진 슬랍샤.
어디 퍼진라
가족의 제도고.
어디죠
제단 천주 쌤에 인지면 이게 퍼진 차 발이야 천주 쌤 국어로 공부사다 씩씩
퍼진 샤올라 퍼르시마 샤올라 되고 다 람시 시진서나 람시진 샤올라 정주 서버 샤고로 와 제단 다 이제 가이신데 제단 시진서야 돼 상계사로 샤고로
천주 쌤 발라 요 말소.
다 정수 말이야 다 정수 말 위에서 위에 요디 요새나 정주 서버 퍼진 또 정주 쌤고 다디 람시 깨고 와 되면 요 말아 위에서 있나 다다데 되게 타이단 치워 봐 다다가 신의 거들려도잖아 대세도 지대부 당부 상동주 강가 신의 나 째니 뭐도 지대부 상동주도 로 세우면도 어디 신의 나봐 뒤에 신의 공부 당하셔라 되나 이다 신루 강가를 배 파진 맹다셔 수인염슬라는데 파진 셔야 돼 신루 거 다다 짐바스름 되게 하나래
Geshe says that the approach adopted in the Lamrim, we use the word perfections or parameters, but it's used more kind of liberally, if you will. It also encompasses what we practice, giving. Although we don't have bodhicitta, right? We practice giving, patience, all of that can be loosely called perfections as well. Because the Lamrim is more based on practice orientation, not on too much critical analysis of things in per se. But when it really comes to critically analyze, right, what is purging, constitute perfection, and there are textbooks and authors who say, yes, you require bodhicitta, bodhisattva's attitude, and that makes what you practice perfections. And then the other text says, you know what? No, perfections only exist in Buddhahood. So even bodhisattvas don't have it. So there are all these perspectives on, right? Understanding what constitutes paramita or perfection. But in the Lamrim context, what you practice is perfection, so it's an easy take on perspectives, right?
Yes.
So I have a prayer request, if you don't mind. Burden Ken, I think Judith's uncle passed away recently, so we have been asked to, pray for him and of course others, who passed away. Then again, Morangi, Ashandi said the one again. Burden Ken sa trong duan, tu me jam jam na ronasa. Chadong Golo Yebe Gavon, Jendo Gava Samba, Sanje Don, Kala Hamde, Della Detomba, Zomba Chenesela, Chanze, Omani Peme, Omani Peme, Omani Peme, Omani Peme. Omani Peme Hore, Kawa Dee, Yododa, Cheres, one Rojone, Roa Chiyamar, Dee Sala, Gilbert, Show, Kange Lode, Timye, Tinda, Yinda, Namda, Rase, Chinye, Dungo, Geshe, Nije, Doga, Lebanze, Kanda, Sebe, Tunra, Mare, Pundon, Tunge, Geshe, Rodo, Guna, Buje, Daze, Yala, Ruju, Yandenson, Roda, Sedo, Leje, Jado, Dreze, Mare, Muse, Dunge, Nyo, Sinye, Junze, Radina, Dune, Daje, Saju, Taze, Yunde, Lunzo, Jase, Juda, Judan, Junye, Jambe, Yanla, Due Omarabaza, Omarabaza, Nandi, Senden, Kye, Kera, Vese, Dalu, Timo, Memba, Rasa, Kada, Dinju, Junu, Doba, Lode, Ba, Nawan, Zelos, Lode, Jazu, Utun, Pega, Kesan, Pome, Judo, Memba, Nemba, Zela, Wando, Yicho, Tagun, Shugun, so on page 21. Obeisance to my Guru and Protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text, symbolic of his seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways, with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You whose dragon thunder-like proclamation of Dharma arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and free us from the iron chains of our karma, who wills the sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. You who have been pure from the beginning, who have completed the stages achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri, Om Arabhasana Di. O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind. Enlighten my intelligence and wisdom so that I may gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain them. Page 31. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate being, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in upholding the precious doctrine. To you, O Lord Sang Tenzin Wangda, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí Ngài điều phục hai chướng ngại, tự nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghĩa màu rốt ráo, từ tim Ngài Bát Nhã Kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân hồi chúng sanh thọ nghiệp báo, bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô minh, sở hữu 60 pháp âm thù thắng, cùng đại bi Ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử, tiếng rồng vang Ngài thức tỉnh hữu tình, thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp chướng, gươm trí tuệ Ngài chặt đứt vô minh, tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn, trường tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác, Ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân, báu thân Ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh, 112 tướng hảo Như Lai. Quý xin Ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasanati, con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, ban pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh, được trí sáng con thâm nhập nghĩa màu, pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận giải. Như diệu hương ngọt ngào từ sen trắng, đàn xanh nơi trí thù thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ông mật thọ nương, hồng danh Ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo uy dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lốp Sang Tenzin Wangda, xin cung kính trì niệm.
Guru Rana Mandela